Wait, hold up. We've done this before. Let's try something new. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome to Rage Against the Mainstream, your full spectrum source for all things music, insight, and opinion. Welcome to the new year. Today, January 4th, 2021. So, as always, I'm Bill, and I'm joined here with Steve.
Hello.
So, it's been a few weeks since we released How Was Your Christmas? Nice birthday.
Solid.
Yeah?
Now, I'm in the last year now. The countdown begins between... before the big 3-0.
Yeah.
There's something about 30, you know? Like, I still get carded for cigarettes, which is, like, great. Like, that's a huge confidence booster. You know, I'm still...
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? But there's something about 30. Like, you can tell people, I'm 26. I'm 28. I'm 29. And you still have that sense of... But
there's, like, a brick wall.
I'm 30.
Like, once you hit 30.
Like, I feel like I don't know why I don't own a minivan for some reason. I have no kids, but... A minivan just seems appropriate.
Well, you're halfway there. You got a CRV.
The CRV, you know.
Oh, dude, I hear a bunch of shit all the time about my CRV. Like, oh, you got the fucking man van. You got the minivan.
The man van.
The
I
man
never heard
van.
that one. That's a real confidence killer.
I was like, yeah. So I guess the next step for me is a hybrid.
Yeah, when you're driving the same car as my, 50-plus-year-old father, it's a...
Well, it's one of those things. You have to be, like, economical. You have to think for the future. I'm like,
live in Jersey, so the all-wheel drive is a nice accommodation.
It's needed.
Very much so.
But, yeah.
The fact that I can get from exit 14 to exit 2 on the turnpike and only use maybe a quarter tank of gas. that's what I live for.
That's the thing, man. I never once cared about gas mileage.
Never once, dude.
Until I lived.
I would drive when I had my Charger. I would push that thing to like $190 heading to Wildwood. That's what I live for. Now I'm 75 at most middle lane, and if I make it there in a quarter of a tank of gas, these are the excitements that I get.
I don't know if it shows up on your CRV, but it does on your dad's. Like the miles per gallon.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like 0,
I'm checking
30,
that.
40,
Here's
or
the thing
60
about
or whatever.
that. I see how that works by like how I press and lay off the gas.
Yeah.
So in my head, even though my car is older, doesn't do that. I still mentally project like, I might be.
You
at
see the
60
green lights coming.
Oh
on.
yeah, I must be at 60 right now if I don't have my foot on the gas. I must be maxing out in my gas mileage. Yeah.
I think, dude, I do the same
It's
shit.
bad. It's really bad.
Like when I get on the highway, I roll at like 70, between 70 and 72.
Yeah.
And I put the cruise control on. I'm like, fuck it.
Yep.
We're all about saving gas here.
Gotta do it. Eco mode on. Press that button.
And then some fucking punk kid like blows past me in like a Nissan.
And you just,
like,
yep.
Dude. That
was us at one point.
Fucking time.
Yeah,
yep.
Now when it's like done in front of us, we're like, these damn kids, this is how accidents happen. Back then it was like, get the fuck out of my way. Like I gotta get 30, miles in 10 minutes here. That's
exactly.
Goal.
Now I gotta like look to my wife like, trust me, I'm not a pussy. Like I promise you, I'm not a pussy.
And here I
let him do this.
I'm just trying to floor it, and like my car has a bad back. The pickup's on it so goddamn bad. I'm waiting for the RPMs to jack to 6,000 before I can even peak 70.
Here's something. Since you said this, I don't know why, but I feel like these fucking like clapped out fucking jalopies are like flying past you like 90 mile an hour on the fucking turnpike or whatever.
Always.
It's like, how the fuck is this car capable of that? And then you give your car gas, and it's like,
what are you doing?
Like it just won't do it. I'm like, what is it? Do I have to get like a piece of shit bought off like a random buy here, pay here in Camden?
Yeah.
For me to do 90 on the highway?
Yeah. Once my car gets going, it's going.
Yeah, they roll.
But if I'm uphill, it's an old man trying to climb up a flight of steps. It's embarrassing.
That's funny.
It's really embarrassing.
Got to get an Acorn stair lift for the car.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
So, so your birthday and Christmas was good. Did you find anything new or interesting?
So, actually, I talked about it like weeks ago. This was the first album. It was Sodom's new album. It was called Genesis 19. So it came out on Apple Music. It was sitting on my phone for weeks. And I refused to listen to it. I listened to the one single just like how I would be if it came on the radio. I tried to treat it like it's going to be a new album. I'm going to wait for the CD to show up and I'm going to listen to it like it's a new CD. So I finally got the album. I want to say 2 days before Christmas, and I was up in North Jersey. I had to make the trip, down south for the family and everything like that. So I was able to, listen to the album, and that was my first experience. This thing's been on my phone for like weeks. Like I very easily could have just I'm just going to listen to it, but I was like, I already paid for this. I pre-ordered this album.
Yeah, right.
This is the second time I pre-ordered an album next to that Lamb of God album, and waited weeks after its release for it to show up. But I held out. I listened to it. Now, Sodom is a German thrash band from the 80s. They were real huge, and they rarely, I don't even know if ever, and I couldn't tell you last time, toured in the United States, but they're very big in like thrash culture. The fact that they're still putting out music is really awesome. I like when bands can put out and generate. The only thing about it is, though, the album to me was like subpar. Just like it was like just put together. You know what I mean? There wasn't anything like Agent Orange. Is probably my favorite album by them. They just, I don't know, like it was just it's like again, we're talking about like old men just kind of keeping it together.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, but the tunes were good. It was just a listen through, but it was cool. The whole experience of it in itself is something I'm trying to get back. Like if I have the opportunity, I know an album's coming out and I can pre-order it before it comes out and hold off on it. Because again, it's just so, I don't know, it takes away from that feel, that special feel. An album I really want pops up on my phone, 3 songs, 2 songs at a time. They just keep releasing half the album.
It's like, just give me the whole
and then
thing.
it's like, finally I listen to it and I don't know, I guess I'm not as involved, but now having it on a CD, like that whole trip, like I was involved. I really listened to the album.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing with the CD. You put it in and there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, obviously I could just grab my phone and say, hey, Siri, change it to this shit, just because if I'm getting bored or something. It's like TV, you'll watch a TV show and you pick up your phone and you have to rewind the show 40 times because you missed a part, and that's how I felt with like, anytime I digital stream music, there's just something mentally about me where I don't, focus as much, I guess. So yeah, that was like the first album I got to really listen to, really held out for it.
Pretty sure it's called ADHD.
It might be a medical diagnosis. This I won't confirm or deny at this point. I myself am not a doctor.
This is the Rage Against the Mainstream Minute Clinic.
Minute Clinic, yes. Glad to be here. I'll give you my copay after the show.
No PPO.
No, thank God. What about you? How was your Christmas?
Not bad. I'm
noticing a lot of cool shit in this studio at this moment. Yeah.
We're slowly working our way in to be able to have this to be a video thing.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just got to be, I can't, it's like.
This room's dope, dude.
You think back to like season 1.
Oh, God.
With like the stacks of like, the Rubbermaid containers.
The cricket? And I got bit by a spider and had like one of the worst fucking spider bites I've ever had in my entire life. Those Glassboro spiders, dude.
There ain't no fucking spiders here no more. But yeah, so I mean, eventually I want to get to the point where we're going to video this. I mean, I feel like it'd be cool, and the room just has to look right.
It was always interesting. That was the one time where I would go into an indoor setting to record somewhere and felt like I needed to put on more jackets. Like, I don't even think I ever took my leather jacket off when we were there. Like, I stayed full
no, that
guard.
basement was fucking freezing.
Ice cold. I got my hands in my hoodie the whole time. I'm shivering. Bills, like,
isn't it funny how the basement was fucking freezing, but this room gets like ridiculously hot?
Yeah.
Like just stupid hot.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean, I'm expanding my prop collection.
You look like you're ready to be in the new Ghostbusters movie.
Oh yeah.
Like they could hire you as an extra and you're ready to go. You got your own costumes and garb and everything.
I'm waiting for the Proton Pack.
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as you get that, you're ready to go.
Oh, dude, once the Proton Pack gets here, like, I'm just going to walk around with it all day.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it in the back of the car, just in case anybody needs me.
You should get the whole outfit and drive around like that.
I'm going to get the fucking I'm getting the whole fucking shebang.
Yeah.
I'm getting the real deal, not Spirit Halloween costume.
Got your license plates?
Yeah, I got my license plates. Those are going to go on the CRV.
Yep.
Look at this fucking geek.
Fun fact, the old New York license plates. Remember,
Yes.
they had the Statue of Liberty in there.
Yep.
Now, I heard this, and I'm not, don't quote me on it, but do you know why they changed it to just the orange without it?
What do you mean?
Why they got rid of the Statue of Liberty in the new license plates?
No, I don't know.
So apparently there was a dispute between New Jersey and New York of which territory the Statue of Liberty was actually located
What?
in. Yeah.
That's weird.
And that's why they got rid of it.
I've always known it to be New York.
That's what
Staten
I would
Island,
think too,
New
but
York.
apparently territorial-wise, it's not necessarily in.
Or not Staten Island, Liberty Island,
Yeah.
New York.
Now, the individual who told me this is from said area, and he's a respectable source. How credible it is, I'm not sure, but that's just the fun fact. Now, every time I think about someone asks, "Oh, you ever notice they changed the license plates, got rid of Statue of Liberty?" If that's ever a Jeopardy question, rest in peace, Alex Trebek. Now you know.
Ain't that some shit? The more you know.
Yeah.
So, on top of the props, and I got various other memorabilia now, due to...
Pandora's box over there.
Yeah.
Careful with that thing.
What's your pleasure?
We'll tear your soul apart.
My vinyl collection has exploded.
Substantially.
Yeah.
I remember in the summer mentioning I was doing this to you, and I was like, Bill, like scratching my neck, eyes wide, like, be careful, man. And
It'll get you.
yeah,
It'll sneak up on you.
Yeah. You're headed for an intervention.
Yeah. I think I'm heading for a new bin.
Oh, yeah.
The milk crate's not... It's starting to
hanging
bust
on
at
for
the
dear
seams.
life, yeah.
It's
I'm
like,
at a two binner now, and you're there.
Yeah, because the bin doesn't
You got to
hold
keep
them
the
in.
integrity of the records themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
But so I got pretty much every Alice in Chains album except for Jar of Flies and self-titled. Thank you, Amazon. What else I got here? Back in Black, Appetite for Destruction. Every Van Halen album up until 5150. Thriller, quintessential album. Everyone needs to have it. What else did I get?
The Misfits.
Famous Monsters.
It's a good album.
Great album.
Whoever got you that, man, they knew exactly.
Yeah, man, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing.
I got Master of Puppets, Ride the Lightning.
Nice.
So now I have the original albums besides Kill 'Em All.
That's good.
I'll probably wind up getting Kill 'Em All. Let's be real.
You're gonna
I
have
can
to at some
Kill 'Em
point.
All through the Black
You're
album.
gonna need,
I need to get it.
The essentials.
So
I'm telling you right now, too, that is one of those albums when you replay it, because you have the opportunity to like listen to it, really listen to it.
I'll enjoy it.
It grows back
I
on
mean,
you.
it's not that I disliked it. I've already said before, I'm a production whore, dude. I
know,
love
that's
good
what I'm
production.
saying. And obviously that one compared to everything that came after it
Yeah.
really falls below the bar. But I'm telling you, just re-listening to it with the system you have,
Yeah.
it'll give you
Like, honestly, I mean, I don't want to get on too much of a tangent here about Metallica, but like Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning are like the worst sounding albums that they did. Mm-hmm. Ride the Lightning had the better songs. But if Ride the Lightning had the production value of like And Justice for All,
Yes.
Ride the Lightning would be my absolute favorite album,
It's that
like of
good,
all
yeah,
time.
Yeah.
Even Escape, I'll give Escape. If Escape had a good production on it, it could be one of the best Metallica songs.
That album is so good, that Escape, like I like black out when that song comes on and forget that I even heard it, and it's still that good. Like I'll take it as a 7-song album.
I wonder what they were thinking of when they wrote that song.
We need one more song for the album, quick.
Quick, we need a radio single.
Yeah, hurry.
That's probably Lars. Guys, so, last time we didn't really have any singles, so, we were thinking about doing a single for this album. I penned this song called Escape.
I picture everybody having a frown on their face except Lars while they were recording this. 'Cause he probably thought this was the fucking jam, dude.
Will be free.
God, that's so... I don't even want to say it.
I forget the words. I forget all of them. It's like, I'm on my own, free. And I'm like, what the fuck?
It's no good.
But, so Christmas, New Year's was pretty good. Recently, I watched the Museum of Pop Culture. They did a special for Alice in Chains. It was 2 hours long. I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, this is going to be some fucking serious, awesome shit.
Was this on Access?
No, it's on YouTube.
Ah.
The Museum of Pop Culture or something or other. It's a museum in Seattle. And I'm like, damn, this 2 hours is going to be fucking awesome. It's like an hour and a half commercial for the Museum of Pop Culture with like 30 minutes of Alice in Chains playing 2 songs.
Jesus Christ.
Metallica covering Wood acoustic.
I saw that.
I'll give it to James.
I was gonna say he pulled. I honestly watched it.
He could
like
sing,
watch
dude.
like a car crash in NASCAR. I was waiting for
Me
the certain
too.
parts, and I was like, "Damn, all right."
He like
Wasn't
changed
bad.
his vocal styling too.
Yeah.
It was weird.
He should sound like that all the time.
That's what Nicole said. She's like,
Yeah, his
she's
highs
like,
in
that's not James Hetfield.
real
It's like,
life.
Yeah, it is.
You know what that goes to tell you though, because he probably felt a lot of pressure to perform a certain way and, giving that honor. The ironic thing about that was Metallica fucking hated on Alice in Chains for quite some time.
Yeah.
Like they ripped on them, and it was really cool to kind of see him. And I think actually James was asked about that, and he pretty much, you get older and sometimes you realize, and hindsight and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really cool to see him do that, because that was a big thing when Alice in Chains was coming out. Metallica's already established, and they had a lot of shit negatively to say about them.
I believe there was one live show that I saw with James like making fun of like Lane's like heroin addiction.
Yeah, he did. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like it was a thing where like even when that got posted, him doing that set, people commented on like, "Oh wow, nice to see him cover a song by a dude he thought was a complete piece of shit."
Yeah.
And then like I said, I think James obviously felt the pressure and felt obligated to speak on behalf of that.
Yep.
And it was, I mean, I can accept that. I really don't care about shit like that, because back then, I mean, you could say that about a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of people talk shit on each other to a point where you can't hold those grudges for that long.
But probably one of the standout performances from that was Korn doing Wood.
I saw that too.
Dude, it was good.
I was like,
I'm
I'm not
holy
even
shit.
a big Korn fan at all, and I saw that and I was like,
they did it tastefully.
Yeah.
Like they did it. It's like we were talking about before, like doing like a good cover where it's 100% that it's that song, but it has so much of your flavor in it that it could be your own song.
Exactly.
And the way they covered Wood was insane.
Yeah.
But Alice in Chains, they only played fucking No Excuses, which is like a staple. You kind of have to.
Of course.
And then Your Decision. Those are the only 2 songs they played.
They had to play one from post Lane era.
Dude, I was like, are you fucking for real?
Which is funny because
it was
Your
like
Decision is like the same tempo as No Excuses.
Well, it's fucked up because it was like a pseudo unplugged.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Your Decision is almost like a redone, a little more upbeat version of like Nutshell.
yeah.
It's that same dun, dun, dun,
Exactly.
dun.
But like, dude, they had like other artists in there that were playing like legitimate fucking songs. Kim Thale was in there a couple times. Chris Cornell's daughter, I forget her name. Lily? No. Regardless. She did the song Black Gives Way to Blue. She covered it on piano, dude. It was amazing. But like I said, you had 30 minutes of like actual cool shit, but an hour and a half of fucking commercial. And dude, every fucking 10 seconds, it's like, donate to the M-Pop.
Oh no!
Donate to M-Pop.
No,
and I was like, on fucking principle
guilty.
now.
Yeah.
It was like all but Sarah McLachlan on there being like, for 10 cents a day, you can support the M-Pop.
God.
It was something cool to watch, and I like their I like what the idea of the museum and like what they do, and they're really like shedding light on like music culture and stuff.
Yeah,
that's cool. Don't fucking put some shit out there and be like, 2 hours of Alice in Chains and have it be an hour and a half
straight
of commercials.
clickbait.
Yeah, that's literally all it was.
It's and the tug at your heartstrings and give us your money moments. It's like Wikipedia. I can't even sign on Wikipedia these days.
Oh my God.
God, fuck. I feel bad because I use you guys all the time.
Exactly. I do feel bad about that. I'm like, maybe I should.
Yeah.
For a cup of coffee a day. And I'm like,
like, you're right.
Too bad I brew my shit at home.
I have to skip a McRib today because that's the money I spent on Wikipedia's donation.
But on top of that, I heard the new Greta Van Fleet single, My Way Soon.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
But the thing that's got my tit in a ringer, if you will, is I heard in an interview where they claimed that Led Zeppelin isn't even like a top influence of theirs.
And that's like kind of, I'm guessing, what they feel like they have to say. Because let's be frank here. It's just,
That'd be like,
you don't even have to go out of your way to try to convince us. Like, just say it, dude.
yeah,
Just say it.
that'd be like me going like, you know what? I never even heard of Eddie Trunk.
Yeah, I know.
That
right?
metal show? What is
Yeah,
that?
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding?
Like, this wasn't totally inspired by the idea of trying to keep that thing alive.
Oh, speaking of which, if you go on YouTube, I believe the guy's channel is Redskins91. He has all the past episodes of that metal show on YouTube.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. So if you're a fan of that show, if you're a fan of this show, you'll be a fan of that show. Go check them out. And dude, that's all I've been doing. Watching
it
that
was
metal
such a
show.
great show.
Dude, fucking awesome show.
It was so good.
But
Redskins.
yeah. Redskins 91.
That's
You're gonna watch this fucking dude's YouTube channel blow the fuck up. He's gonna be like, what the fuck happened?
he's carrying on a name that apparently isn't politically correct anymore. Washington football team.
Yeah. Make sure you use promo code RATM podcast when you subscribe to his channel.
Yes, yeah, do that promo code.
Yeah.
Tax titles and licensing included.
Certain exclusions apply. Let's move on to
do
state
that.
of music history.
God, we sound like we're just stoned over here, just rattling shit off at the end. Yeah. Use that promo code that doesn't exist. If you type in RATM podcast in his comment section, you'll get nothing except our recognition for doing so if we notice it.
Congratulations.
We'll shout your name out on the airwaves. Thank you, Dildo Blender 865, for typing on RATM podcast on Redskins.
This dude's going to go in there and be like, what are all these
Yeah,
comments?
I know. Why does it keep saying RATM podcast on here? Honey, I got 848 comments today, all saying the same goddamn thing.
What is this RATM
I can't even Google them. I don't even know what they are. That would blow his mind. He wouldn't know what to do. He'd probably think it's a spam. He'd delete the whole channel after restart.
On this day in music history.
On this day in music history, January 4th, 1965, Leo Fender sells Fender guitars to CBS for $13 million.
Wow, he... imagine what if he would have sold that today.
I don't know how much Fender is worth, but I do know they own a lot of other companies.
Well, I mean, once you get mixed up with CBS, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even even back then, it was just Fender.
Yeah.
Like, now you have Jackson, Charvel, EVH, Gretsch, Squire. Like, that's just 5 huge fucking companies right there. Like, God knows what other, things that Fender itself, like Fender Musical Instrument Corporation or whatever, like whatever they own, it's got to be fucking insane. It's a lot of money. If he were to sell Fender now, I would think easily you have to be like 200 mil.
Wow. Leo Fender was born in 1909.
Really?
So, I mean, I guess that makes sense for the time being because he was like at that retirement,
56,
like
yeah.
getting to that age. I mean, he died in 91.
Oh, wow.
So, wow. Yeah. I would like to see this is only up to 2011, had a $700 million in sales for the 2011 fiscal year.
Holy
That's
shit.
1 year in 2011, $700 million in sales. That's not to say what was profit. Net income was $19 million after last year. They had a loss, 2010. Been around since 1946. Oh my God, they have an IPO. You can invest in this company, so they're public now. Yeah, they're worth a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, at the time, I guess 1965, it made sense for him because at the age he was at. But I'm saying, like a company like that today, if it was what it is today, to sell that, I mean,
yeah, but I think it's even more like at this point in time, if you were to sell Fender, it would have to be even more than just, oh, I'm selling this company. Like you would have a fucking shareholders meeting.
100%.
You'd have people voting against it.
Well,
have
now
all
it's
kinds
public.
Of shit.
Yeah, now that it's public, it'd be a pain in the ass. But I mean, 13 million just doesn't seem like a lot.
Well, back in 1965, all they really had was
guess,
a fucking the Strat, a Telecaster.
Well, he probably lived.
Jazz
obviously,
bass
he
and
lived for
P-bass.
another,
40 years,
26 years. So
30
yeah, I
years.
mean, he probably didn't do a goddamn thing for the rest of his life except play guitar and hang out.
I would retire with $13 million. I'd have a fucking blast.
Yeah, good for him. Good for Mr. Fender. 2 years later, in 1967, the Doors break on through with their eponymous debut. The self-title, of course. The Doors is a hit with listeners and critics alike, and produces the single Light My Fire, which quickly hits #1 in the US. Light My Fire is actually probably just because of how overplayed it has been. Most songs that get overplayed, I can get around it. Like, even like Stairway, for some reason, when that solo kicks in, like, I still, but Light My Fire, that fucking piano solo is so goddamn long. And the song itself is so overplayed that is honestly probably the weakest song on the album.
I actually had to give it a legitimate listen.
Yeah, Break On Through is excellent.
I understand what they mean by break on through now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's clever.
Yes. Duh, dude. But yeah, there's so many good, like Crystal Ships, The End's on this album.
Okay.
Backdoor Man, which is a phenomenal song. 20th Century Fox, Alabama song. I mean, there's just, the whole album is phenomenal. But it's funny because that song is like money to me on Dark Side of the Moon. Like, it's just that song that's like, I'll listen to it, but
yeah,
just because of how much has been played, it got to me. Like, it's really now. It's just, come on. Yeah, we couldn't get much higher.
2 years later, 1969, Jimi Hendrix is banned from the BBC after going off script when he and his band, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, appear on the show Happening for Lulu, hosted by the To Sir With Love singer Lulu.
So weird that this is the story. I also heard they had an issue with BBC because they covered Sunshine of Your Love by Cream, but it was like right after Cream broke up and people treated it like it was almost like an insult to Cream or something like that. There was like an issue. They went off like script with that too, like covering a Cream song, where back then that wasn't like a huge thing. And the cover's awesome, which is fucking ironic as hell, but they had an issue with BBC over that. So that story in itself I wasn't familiar with, but it was weird because I had just read something a few weeks back where Jimi Hendrix, the Jimi Hendrix Experience had the same issue with BBC. So I'm not sure if that was intertwined, but it's interesting. Very interesting.
Some bullshit.
Goddamn shame. 1970, The Who's Keith Moon accidentally runs over his chauffeur. Oh, we talked about this before.
Yeah, we did.
Neil Boland, killing him. Apparently, Moon's car was under attack from some unruly teenagers. When Boland jumped out to get them to move, Moon, in a panic, probably on drugs, got behind the wheel to drive the car away himself. Unfortunately, the crowd had since pushed Boland under the car. Yeah, this is a pretty infamous story.
Yo, hell yeah.
This adds, like, when a lot of people talk shit on Keith Moon, this is usually one of the stories that gets brought up in conversation.
He killed his fucking chauffeur.
Yeah, really fucked up story considering the circumstances.
Oh, yeah.
But knowing Keith Moon, I hate to say it, can't confirm or deny, but he was probably... The panic was probably induced by other things other than the situation itself. The fact that his chauffeur's out there fucking, like, doing work, trying to help the man out. And he's just like, I'm going to fucking ditch this guy. Yeah. Like, unbelievable.
Every man for himself.
I'll read this one, too, because you're going to run to read the next one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 1991, Nirvana signed with Geffen Records in one of the most outstanding moves of their entire fucking career.
Yup.
In September, their album Nevermind is released, and obviously did not blow up until like the holiday season. And to this day, we recognize this as an absolute game changer in music.
Yes.
Yeah, that move to Geffen Records was huge, dude. Huge, because Sub Pop still, even to this day, has made some very talented albums, produce some real talented albums, but that move to Geffen.
But they're only able to do so much.
I know.
Get the David Geffen group and David Geffen Company, whatever. They had more resources than Sub Pop could ever have.
And which is funny because they underproduced and like manufactured that album. That's what caused it such a slow buildup for that album to like blow up, because they were like, there's no way it's going to be this fucking big.
Who would have thought?
Dude, it's crazy when you look at some of their shows in like 89 and 90 and they're just playing like... I saw this one show, they're playing in some like VHS store. Like some random store that just sells VHS players.
Yeah.
And like Kurt still has long black hair. Like it's all the Bleach era guys. And it's just, there's like 8 people watching this. And
that's
like,
so
at
funny.
no point did they think like, yo, I saw that band live when they're playing Reading and shit. You know what I mean? Would that ever be a thing?
Speaking of game changers, 2020, Mariah Carey becomes the first artist to top the Hot 100 in 4 different decades. In 4 different decades? That's only 40 years old.
Well, maybe she had hits in the 80s. It's not talking about
80s,
the song.
90s, 2000s.
It's talking about Mariah Carey in general.
Oh, wait, hold on. So you got 2020, 2010.
It's the 80s, going all back to the 80s.
2000. Wow.
Yeah, she's been around.
Well,
I'm
anyways.
talking about that song in particular. It's
Yeah.
just she's the first artist. You imagine 1980?
I'm like, what the
yeah,
fuck?
dude, no.
Anyways.
All right, that was the most burnout conversation I think we've had in a long time.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Watching you count on your hands from 2020 to 1980 was classic. That's why we need this on recording all the time.
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, there's no
That
way
was
this
hilarious.
fucking song's 40
That was
years
so
old.
great because I even started thinking for a second. I had to reread that. I'm like, no. I like pull up a monocle. No way.
Well, 2020 marked the year where Mariah Carey became the first artist to top the top 100 or the Hot 100 in 4 different decades. When All I Want for Christmas Is You stays at number 1 for a 3rd week.
Not surprising.
Quintessential Christmas song.
You know, it's sad. It's one of those songs that you want to hate.
Yeah, you just can't.
But
though.
you know you've listened. Like anybody that's like, that song's bad, you've had it on at least one point. Because either you're just stubborn about it and your kids are in the back seat in your man van. Like, come on, keep this song on, Dad.
The
And
best,
you're like,
the best experience I've had with this song was when I was driving home from work, and like I'm dirty and greasy and shit in a work van. Like I'm wearing like the like the Tool fucking
the quintessential
sunglasses.
blue collar.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, with the fucking beard and shit. And like I just obviously look pissed off because I'm heading home. And
you're just doing a slow nod with that gritty face.
Yeah.
All I want for Christmas.
the slow head nod and shit's on because like Now You Got Something to Die For comes on my Spotify, and the next song's All I Want for Christmas Is You. And like the fucking car next to me is like looking over, and as I'm fucking singing Mariah Carey.
That guy has bipolar.
Yeah. Like I'm sitting there like screaming, I don't want a lot for Christmas. And there's like, what the fuck?
I thought you were going to tell me that you made a road trip and Yellow Submarine came on and you quickly changed it and this happened to come on. And it was like a warm blanket and a cold night just saved you from Yellow Submarine. That story still gets me because I'm picturing you just traumatized by the Beatles. You just can't do it anymore.
You can't see it, but my eyes are all wide. I'm like shaking my head like...
That's so good. Speaking for 2020, and we're talking about the year in particular, it's no secret this was history books are going to have the toughest fucking time really getting you a chapter on this year, let alone a fucking textbook on this year. So I thought...
It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, not to be totally cliche about this episode, but I figured we could kind of break this down to the good, bad, ugly. Like good being, what did you hear, see, anything of this year that, was just notable. Doesn't have to be like the best thing ever. I figure like the bad is just maybe some albums or shows you may have seen that just did not live up to expectation, that just didn't fit. And the ugly could be, both what we talk about with the bad in the sense of bad albums, but also like, we lost a lot of people this year.
Yep.
I don't want to get like, obviously Kobe Bryant, Sean Connery, we know of like very big prominent figures, especially in our lifetime, dying. But I thought we would narrow it down more to like musical figures just for the context.
Because we're a music podcast.
Yeah, just keep it simple. I mean, we do talk about other things outside of music, but just because the list could go on. There's so many people I want to give recognition to.
We were looking at the list earlier.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, and it's tragic when you put it in that kind of perspective. But yeah, I thought we should start with the good.
Then at the very end, we'll put a nice little bow and wrap up 2020.
Yeah, we're gonna. This is kind of like a cleaning out the closet of 2020, getting it all.
We'll put it in a nice little box, and I'll put it on my memorabilia shelf.
Yes, with the Good Guys cereal, the Freddy glove, Pandora's box, all the good shit over there. Yeah, put it in Pandora's box and it to the Cenobites. Exactly. Yeah, they can have that. There you go.
So I guess let's start with good.
Yeah.
So Deftones album came out August?
give or take.
August, September.
I was going to even. I didn't write down specific dates for these albums. I wrote down more so artists that stood out.
Okay,
and
yeah.
albums. I was going to limit it down to like the ones that really stood out.
Well, I guess if we want to talk
For the
about
year.
like good shit that happened, Lamb of God did the live stream.
That was cool.
That was really cool. That was a good time. Ohms came out. Music to be Murdered by Eminem.
Yep.
That was a really good album. That bitch came out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah,
didn't
that
even know
was
he was
really weird because somebody
It was
had
even more out of
dropped an
nowhere than
album.
Kamikaze
Yeah,
was.
I was gonna say.
like Kamikaze was fucking like out of nowhere, but this was like even more of a surprise
Like there was
than that.
no like even talk about him writing, releasing,
Well,
something coming.
Kamikaze had come out in 2019, but it was like towards the end of the year. It came out in September of 2019. Music to be Murdered by came out in fucking like a few months afterwards. It was just
very
like,
weird.
What?
Very weird.
Like I didn't even think he had it in him.
Yeah, it's very weird.
But that was good. Let's see here. After Hours by The Weeknd came out. Everyone knows the song Blinding Lights. The rest of the
course.
album is just as good.
Yeah.
Verminous. Black Dahlia
Black
Murder.
Dahlia Murder.
We talked about that album at length.
I remember when that was like coming out, I was waiting
Yeah.
for that. Yeah.
It was I fucking loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, and they're another one of those bands that's kind of like Lamb of God. They could be hit or miss for me, but
Yeah.
that was one of their hits. Like, I think the last one that was really good for me was Nocturnal. Nocturnal was
was good.
excellent. You know, I was
Yeah.
at like 07 or 2008 around that time. That was like, because then they had a few albums in between that I just, like that core sound was like totally taken over. But Verminous, they went back to that
Yeah.
old gothic.
Well, that's got
metal.
to do with Ben Eller, man.
Yeah.
That fucking dude's a monster on
Yeah,
guitar, and
absolutely.
he's highly influenced by 80s shit. Mm-hmm. Like if you listen to him play, dude, it sounds like a fucking like they picked him out of like Wasp or some shit.
Yeah.
It's like here, now you're gonna play in Black Dahlia Murder. So what about you? What do you have for good?
I mentioned that Sodom album. I kind of, that was the first one I took on. That's not actually going to make this good list. But there was some death metal bands specifically because just you were on the topic of them. Necrophobic came out with a new album. Undeath, Black Curse, Cryptic Shift. Carcass's new album was awesome. I like their EP they came out with. Benediction, Dark Tranquility came out with a new album I wasn't a huge fan of, but those are just a list of some of the metal bands specifically. Aesop Rock came out with a new album. I hadn't heard it because we were just going through it, and I'm really curious because it was weird. I was listening to Aesop Rock yesterday, but it was a playlist that I have of just a mashup of his songs.
Oh,
My sister had never listened to him. So I sent him to my sister for a playlist just to listen to something. She was like, send me something to listen to for whatever reason. And I sent that playlist because I was like, she's never listened to him, but I think she would enjoy it. So his new album I definitely want to check out. Playboy Cardi came out with a new album actually in December. He was one of the last ones on this list. Denzel Curry, Run the Jewels, G-Eazy came out with new stuff. Juice WRLD's posthumous album that came out.
Yeah.
Another one of the individuals we lost, not this year, but he came out with a posthumous album, which is awesome. Now, there's also the AC/DC album. I have this on my ugly, but I'm bringing it up because I wanted to hear your opinion. Since we talk about AC/DC and we talk about their kind of perpetual cycle of recycled tunes.
Yeah.
What did you listen to the album?
No, I heard the single.
Now, what did you think of the single? Did you think redundant ACD? Okay, all right. So we're not even going to get into this because if you go listen to the album, this could be Back in Black if I've never listened to AC/DC. If you told me this was Back in Black and I never, you could pretty much take any one of their album covers, Brian Johnson era, and any one of their CDs and just mix them all up, and you'd have no clue which one was which.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about before, like the whole like Slayer being consistent and not really changing at all.
One, yeah.
AC/DC has stayed consistent, but it seems like their level of consistency, like going forward, there's like a little taken off the top.
That's what I'm saying.
time.
I think, but AC/DC is in like a safer genre. Like you can
yeah.
rip on Slayer because their riffs are just so repetitive.
Yes.
The solos, in my opinion, are
Trash.
not very good. And then AC/DC is like in a very safe genre where you don't need to take those chances because
Exactly.
that's not what you're expected to do.
Well, AC/DC is in like a league of their own.
Yeah.
There's no bands that are to like the level of AC/DC. You think about like the Led Zeppelins, the Pink Floyds, the Metallicas. even like the Foo Fighters, maybe to an extent, but AC/DC is just AC/DC.
Yeah.
Like that's just it. Like there's not like on like their level, at least the way I see it. Maybe you have like the Rolling Stones. Maybe that'll be like up on that like high tier with AC/DC, but they're like untouchable. They're one of those bands like a Slayer or like a Rolling Stones that no matter what they put out, you're gonna have some jerk off that's like, this is the best yet.
Well,
This is
ironically,
awesome.
you bring that up. What started with this album? Because, like I said, I have a man van and I'm approaching 30, so I also go golfing a lot.
Yeah.
I was out golfing. Let me break down the story for you. I was having a rough day. Now, usually when I have a rough day out there, I just don't want to talk to anybody because I don't drink out on the course.
Yeah.
I smoke my cigarettes and I try to like decompress that way. I had some guy that I was paired up with. It was me and my friend. He wasn't playing well, but he was in a good mood. He was feeling himself.
Yeah.
And he came up to me. My friend was still putting. Me and him were by the carts. He was drinking. He was like, yo, you guys don't mind if I put on music? And I'm like, you guys seem cool. I was like, you probably put on some like just in between music. This guy took a leap of faith. He was like, you like AC/DC? They're coming out with a new album. This motherfucker put that on. Now, me having a bad day and having to listen to Brian Johnson's fucking cat screaming voice at the age he's in now. But here was the awkward part. I don't know this guy. I can't be like getting into, like, I'm trying to do my thing out here, you know?
Yeah.
But the worst part about it was because he wasn't with me, the music would like be off in the distance.
You can still hear
Because he's
it.
way up there or on the other side of the course, and I can hear it in the distance. And it's just like a fucking fly, like around your ear. You're just getting like, because you're just annoyed. You're already having a bad day. You got to listen to Brian Johnson's voice on this new AC/DC album. So it wasn't even like AC/DC I was familiar with, where I could just like zone in and like, all right, it's giving the dog a bone,
Yeah.
so I can just kind of zone it out because I know what it sounds like. I know what to expect. But I'm hearing parts of this song. I'm like, oh, God. Oh, like,
That's
like,
funny.
you know what I mean? So that was my first exposure to the album. And of course, I had to go back and really listen to it to make sure, like, did I hear this correctly? And
Yeah.
it's another AC/DC album, dude.
Yeah, I mean, like, at this point in their career, I mean, honestly, after fucking the Razor's Edge, and I even think Razor's Edge and, like, Who Made Who, like, those are even, that's even a stretch.
Yeah.
But, like, honestly, let's be real, after Back in Black,
Yeah, I mean, it's just not a lot.
it's just like, it just is what it is.
Cookie cutter, rock and roll.
Yeah, literally.
much.
They're not doing anything different. There's really nothing different happening with any of their music
Yeah.
between albums. It's just all the same regurgitated shit.
Yeah.
And like I thought maybe with, I'm not going to say like thank God Malcolm Young is dead. But
Yeah, no.
like I thought with the exit of Malcolm Young, obviously,
They would kind of take that moment to step back and appreciate their career.
well, not only that, but I feel like with the I believe it's Angus's and Malcolm's like nephew or whatever that's playing guitar.
Yeah.
Like he would have breathed new life into the band, like almost like when Wolfgang Van Halen joined Van Halen.
Yeah.
Like you can tell it's still like Van Halen, but there was like something else that got in there, or like when Gary Holt joined Slayer.
okay.
Like you know what I mean? Like breathe new life into the band,
Like Art
It's
Cruz type style.
Exactly. It's the same thing, but there's this new flavor.
But
in
what's
there.
sad is you have this kid who's getting into a band that's literally been at the tail end of their career. The more sad thing to think about in this case is they're not one of those guys at the age they're at that they can say, okay, we can kind of take our career into that touring mode where we don't need to release new music. We just give our fans like what they expect to hear. Because I'm telling you right now, most AC/DC fans are not paying to go hear stuff off their last two albums, especially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in the case that they're at, it's probably because they can't tour the way they used to, but they feel like the need to continue to make music, which all the more credit for you. I'm glad bands still make music. I'm not going to sit there and say that it's always good, but I'll never deny the opportunity.
Exactly.
Because that album could have been awesome. I don't know. I'll never say that. But based on track record, after listening to
Probably
it, I
is not.
wasn't a huge fucking fan. Not going to lie.
So what are we gonna do? Transition here into bad?
Yeah, I think we should go into bad, which you can name because you have the list of some of the artists we're going to talk about, and then the ugly. And I think we should come down to a general consensus of like probably because we're going to talk about obviously the people we lost in music. Narrow it down to like probably one of our best albums of the year,
And quite possibly the ugliest thing to happen this year.
and we have the general consensus on that, so
Yeah.
we can just probably just like obviously we have albums that probably just wouldn't make the cut as unlistenable garbage, but this specific ugly can probably be the one to
yeah,
talk about.
Yeah.
because it's. We'll get to it. So let's go over some of the artists.
So, Wake Up Sunshine by All Time Low. I was excited for this album. I actually did listen to the whole thing. It really wasn't that good. I believe I said it before, the band Camino, who's a band that I'm a huge fan of, they did a song with them, and I was like, how the fuck did they even put their name on this
very
fucking horse
disappointing.
shit? It sucked.
Yeah.
Like, I can't really remember the last thing that All Time Lows put out that actually, wowed me, but this definitely wasn't it. Then they had that song now, it's like the single, it's like, why do the monsters come out at night? Na, 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 na. I don't do...
Yeah, very tragic.
I don't mind if you mess up my life or something. I think it's like...
Especially because they were like a high school band of ours.
Yeah.
Like, that was an act that, had a lot of expectation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this album just wasn't good.
Yeah.
Another one that wasn't good was Gigaton by Pearl Jam.
God, dude.
Super Blood Wolf Moon.
Yeah, it's ironic because that one's probably going to crack my top 3 of the ugly from this year.
Really?
Bad for the albums because the expectation, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Like the one it met my bad list was because of the expectation.
Oh, yeah. Well, if we're going to go into expectations here, I'm not going to say that Andrew Watt is the sole reason for 2020 being so bad, but I believe he opened up the Pandora's box or opened up the gate to hell.
It's either that or that movie Cats that came out. They said right after the movie Cats that came out.
Yeah.
They said right after then everything started going downhill. So there's a conspiracy behind that.
Well, Andrew Watt took on the gargantuan task of producing a new Ozzy Osbourne album.
Yeah.
And if you have listened to the show this year, or 2020, it's now 2021, but if you listened to the show at all back in the beginning of 2020, you know how excited we all were for Ordinary Man. And when it came out, it was literally the biggest kick in the fucking balls I've ever had in my whole life.
Yeah, it was tragic.
Like, I've been kicked in the nuts, and, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
I heard Ordinary Man, it was worse than that.
Yeah.
I was like it took the wind out of me. I was like,
Yeah, it was no good.
and then, I thought there was going to be a redeeming factor.
And they also did the whole, let's give you 4 of these songs ahead of time to give you a little hope, and you're just like, maybe it'll get better.
That song, Under the Graveyard, wasn't bad. But, dude, on fucking Facebook and shit, I saw all the fucking dick riders and nut swingers that are like, oh, it's a new Ozzy album.
Yeah,
it's a new Ozzy album. Yep. It wasn't good.
That kills a lot of these albums for me.
Yes.
Because one of mine that made the bad, which was System of a Down single, that made my list for being the bad because the songs are not good.
The quality was bad too.
I know, it was made just in their house. They didn't even take the time to really do anything.
We have done better demos before with a rock band. Let's
That's what I'm
be
saying.
real.
They probably took a lot of their equipment and just did a quick rush because I understand. And this is the thing that sucks about it because they did it for a cause.
Yes.
And I can get that. But you also have a huge fan base that just watch Deftones release new music, Tool release new music, and you kind of fall into that category. Everybody's joke was with the memes, System of a Down fans, and it's that picture of Pablo Escobar standing around doing nothing, waiting for their music, watching Tool drop, Deftones drop, Seether even drop new music.
Yeah.
And then they released that. And I even was like, oh, that's cool because that was unexpected, but I knew now it was for a cause specifically what's going on over there.
They must not care too much about that cause.
Dude, it was that music was
bad.
sad, man.
It wasn't good.
Very sad.
Let's see. Well, what do you want to do? Do you want to talk about the one particular album that we were excited for that kind of got brought out to us in pieces and they basically gave us the entire album?
It's probably my number 1 is what you're talking about.
Is it your number 1?
I think so.
All right, then I'll let you say it.
What is it?
It's a self-titled album.
Yeah.
All right.
Lamb of God.
I'll let you take that one over.
Yeah. And it's funny because I brought that up with the Sodom thing. That was the last album that I ordered and held out for. I ordered a fucking deluxe vinyl too. I didn't even just buy the $9.99 CD. I'm like, I'm going to listen to this on vinyl. Talk about my junkie era in the summertime of how I was with vinyls.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I was. $33, whatever. Probably sucks, but I took the gamble. And I lost. I put fucking all my money on Black 5 and it landed on Red 2. I was so excited for this album
Yep.
because of the way they were touring, the track listing they were picking for their live sets. Even like 512, like on their latest album, like they had a sound that they were going for.
Oh, dude, I love 512. That's my favorite of the newer
song.
shit.
It's so fucking like dark. It's heavy. That riff is awesome.
My God.
So I was like, all right, cool. This is going to be
that
great.
fucking song.
And like when Memento Mori dropped, and
I thought that wasn't bad.
but this
when
is
I heard
the thing.
it the first time.
I think that's the thing, though. We just said it. Like they came out with piecemeal version of the album where you were getting little songs here and there. And honestly, the best song on the album was Resurrection, man, because it just fit what I was expecting for that album. And then everything else surrounding it, it was like the songs that I even enjoyed. Like, I guess it was because like the new Tool album, it wore off. Mm-hmm. Like that euphoria of just a band I love releasing new music wore off. And I put it in the category of like, this is not good. No. I listened to that album now that I bought. One time when I bought it, I listened to it several times in the car just randomly, just because I was trying to see if I could get back into it.
Yeah.
Waited a little bit, put the album back on vinyl for the second listen, and it was like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
The only thing I can say is after watching that live stream when they played entirely of Ashes of the Wake, is that, like, again, here's a touring band that's playing their best fucking work. Hopefully they're going to head into a direction and give themselves that reminder of, like, this is what we were doing and this is what was working.
Exactly. Now, the funny thing is, the best song to come out of the sessions wound up being on
Didn't
a
even
fucking
be on
soundtrack.
the album. Dude, that's
on
like
the
what we talk about with State of Love and Trust not being
Yeah.
on fucking 10.
It should have been.
100%.
And-
That is probably my favorite Pearl Jam song of all time.
100%.
And
that
even
is
the
my
acoustic
favorite.
version is phenomenal on
Yeah.
Unplugged.
But The Death of Us should have been on that album.
know.
It should have been the leading single off that album.
But that's, we're talking about, a grab me some money move. Like,
well, tell you what, dude. What I think is they were told not to put that song on that album. Reason being is you've seen Bill and Ted Face the Music, right?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that good.
The movie.
Yeah, I didn't think the
didn't
movie
think so
was that
either.
good at all. I don't even think it touched number 2.
No.
Or Bogus Journey, rather. I think they had to put in some kind of pool where it was like, listen, you're going to have this song, not put it out on this album that's, conveniently being released around the same time. Take this best song you have, put it on our soundtrack.
Of course. And that's what I'm saying. It was
So
a money
it draws
grab.
people into the fucking movie.
It was a money grab.
It wasn't a money grab for Lamb of God, though. It was a money grab for the fucking
Absolutely.
studio because they're like, this movie sucks.
And you know what's
anyway.
probably Lamb of God at the time, because they definitely had that recorded during their sessions, 100%.
The production value is exactly
the same. Like that could have fit in there at any
Yep.
point. And it was true. Like now it sucks because anytime I want to listen to that song, like I almost like want to burn the CD and figure out the place of where to put that song and see if it would just even make the slightest difference.
Where could you put that?
Probably track 5.
Probably.
Like it opens up with Checkmate.
Yeah.
I think Memento Mori is like 2, right? And
I think they released it in order.
They skipped one song, I think 3. And then went 4, 5, and then like I think that was it. They released like half the album.
Yeah.
But you could put that right in the middle of the album.
Yeah, it would be fine.
That's a shame. Real shame. But yeah, that was my number one bad disappointment of the year. I think you should just go over some of the artists too that we lost, just because one of them in particular we each kind of narrowed it on as, I guess, most impactful in different ways.
Well, there is no particular order to the list that I have in front of me. The one's Riley Gale. His death this year, I mean, it obviously made us both become fans of...
That's my number
Power
one
Trip.
like real thought about death in terms of music. He's not the most iconic figure we lost, but the reason why I had him as that number one is because of how big I got in a Power Trip this year, and it has nothing to do. This is like the first time where I'm listening to an album's like almost posthumously after the artist that's mostly involved that passed away, and obviously the band itself, we don't know the direction if they're going to continue, probably not. But after listening to him, I'm like, I'm really like, why the fuck did I not? This like fits my mold of like that crossover thrash punk, Municipal Waste, Toxic Holocaust. Like it's literally like me in a mold of like my preferred genre of thrash metal. Like those vocals are like right where I like it. It's everything was about it was just so good. And now I'm like fuck, like that. I'm not going to be able to see that live.
Yeah.
Watching their live sets too was like, they're playing like some shows at like festivals like 7 a.m. because they were that band on the
they
bill.
were the
and, like,
opening band.
Dude, they're fucking killing it out there.
Yeah, dude, they were a really, really fucking good band. I don't want it to be like, oh, I hope they continue, but
Yeah. If
they were.
His persona though, man, like perfect front man. Like for a thrash band, perfect front man. And it's really sad what happened to him and, that band, their family. I mean, because he was just real. He was like a real dude. He was a master of his craft, and the way he presented himself was exactly what I expect from any time I listen to a good thrash band.
Speaking of master of the craft, Neil Peart from Rush.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
That was a major one. That was in the very beginning of all this.
Yeah.
We're like, man, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
And then, we go down the list. You got Leslie West from Mountain,
Mississippi Queen, dude.
He just died a few weeks back. You got Little Richard, Kenny Rogers, Joe Diffie, Frankie Banali, the drummer from Quiet Riot. You got Charlie Daniels, Peter Green from fucking, Fleetwood Mac fame. And then, just when all that shit, all that bad shit had happened, it got even worse. We lost Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's got to probably be
that's my number one.
That
the
hit
worst
you
thing
almost
that's
like a
happened.
family member,
dude.
Man. That was
I
tough,
remember when I was at work and Nicole called me. She's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm working." She's like, "All right, well, sit down or something." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What the fuck happened?" She's like, "Eddie Van Halen died." I'm like, "What, dude?" I felt like the tears welling up. Like, she doesn't understand it, and unless you're like a fan of Van Halen, you don't really understand. Like, he was the reason for like a lot of shit. Like for me, like if honest to God, if Eddie Van Halen wasn't introduced in my life, we wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah.
Like I tried to explain that. Like
that probably that put you in the direction of music. That put me in the direction of like
everything.
Dude. Yeah.
Like I wouldn't play guitar if it wasn't for
that was
Van
like even
Halen.
Doyle coming out with that story about it where Eddie Van Halen was the reason why he rediscovered guitar. He was pretty much done with it. And then when Van Halen hit the scene, he was like, I want to fucking do this.
Dude, and like, I mean, obviously like with his death and everything, you had slowly getting into Van Halen.
Of course.
And I guess in a sense you could probably understand why it was such a huge deal.
Yeah, I was actually, every time I rediscovered, it kind of went back that direction. Like I had always liked Van Halen, but I never understood your like for Van Halen.
Yeah.
The more that I went back and like gave albums a listen as opposed to the shit I've heard on like classic vinyl or whatever on Sirius and stuff, I really, everything about why I like music is understanding the context, the year that it come out, like the people that were listening to it, what was happening at that time, and just knowing what Van Halen was doing and the time they were doing it. It's still baffling.
Yeah.
Like that was like hearing the future. That's got to be like hearing Johnny Be Good during that, scene in fucking, Back to the Future. Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
People were like, Jesus Christ.
Like, it's like, I don't want to get into a giant thing about Van Halen because I feel like that's like my thing. Yeah. But it was just such a huge fucking thing. And, the fact that he's finally getting, I don't want to say finally getting them because, he's always been talked about. He's always been labeled as one of the greats, but I always feel like he had gotten snubbed with like a lot of shit. And now that he's dead, everyone's like, oh my God, like almost like we've been sleeping on him. And it's like, he's been doing a lot of shit.
And it is important for like younger generations, like when that dude did that recording with the, Fleetwood Mac song, when the Cream movie came out, when Rocket Man, like all these kids now just kind of jump on the hype of something, but simultaneously it's working because then they're actually getting interested in something. So with Van Halen dying, that name itself, like you immediately think Guitar
it's like
Hero.
Epic.
That is like a trump card. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
You're a Van Halen. Like if you use that word itself, just makes me think. His name just makes me think immediately Guitar Hero.
Well, like for me, like I don't know, like the name like Van Halen, it just sounds huge.
It's like Beethoven for classical, like Mozart.
Like it's like a name that's bigger than the name. Like it's just weird.
It has way more meaning than the individual.
And I mean. It's all how everyone interprets it or whatever, but the way I interpreted Van Halen is that it was like a way of life.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's just strange. Like, when I first heard Van Halen, I was like, this is like the greatest shit that has ever happened in the history of the world. And I was only like 10.
Yeah. I mean, but that's
Like I remember hearing Eruption for the first time in the car and just being like I didn't even know what guitar was.
Followed by Yellow Submarine.
Yeah. Then Yellow Submarine came on. I was like, this is what could really be done in the instrument.
I wish they could rewind the radio.
But yeah, so I mean that's my number one like worst thing that happened this year.
In terms of like artists, yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of deaths, man. And the Eddie Van Halen one wasn't even COVID.
I know.
That was fucking everything cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, the other good thing that came out of it is that Wolfgang Van Halen finally released his
music.
Started to release his music.
Yeah, that music video is awesome too.
Yeah, it's a real tearjerker.
Yeah.
And you know, this at least gives like the fans of the band hope that there is going to be like a continuation. It's not going to be the brand that you're used to.
Yeah.
But at least the name is still there, and you know, it's going to live on.
Of course.
But yeah, anyways, off of Van Halen.
For the ugly.
Probably the ugliest.
Has to be. I don't even want to go into detail about anything else because this kind of caps the entire year in terms of music. I mean, you could honestly say COVID was the worst thing that happened this
I don't
year.
even know.
But this
is a close
parallels.
second.
It runs a close second.
Like you know, like the less than or equal to sign or greater than or equal to. It's COVID and then WAP.
Yeah, WAP was an absolute black mark on. And here's the thing. The understanding that song was used for a lot of memes, you know, I'd like TikTok videos and almost using it in an ironic sense. Just to know, though, that there are people out there that could credit that to a point where it charted and say it was good music.
Number one.
That's what scares me.
It was number one in the world.
That's what's crazy to me. Because we have to be honest here. Whatever you want to make that song out to be, that was literally two artists who have a huge following behind them, especially young girls that look up to them.
Yep.
Released. I listen to Cannibal Corpse in terms when we talk about lyrical content.
Yeah.
But I listen to Cannibal Corpse for a different reasoning because that's not making the radio. You know what I mean? I'm not putting anything out there to recommend to my 4-year-old nephew. Check out Tomb of the Mutilated. There's some good things on there, like, you know, Hammer Smash Face. That's a great single, kid. You should check it out. No, I mean, but WAP, it was put out there for the masses. So now you had young girls that almost try to comprehend that because it's like you watch a rated R movie when you're a kid.
Yeah.
That song was larger than life to a point where, regardless of how old you are,
rated
you heard
R,
it.
dude. It's like fucking walking into the porn section of the movie store.
That's a
when you're
Serbian
like 6.
film of movies, which if you've seen a Serbian film, like, that wouldn't make it anywhere except like the adult bookstore or the Red Barn down on 130. You know what I mean?
Literally. This is like the 2 girls, 1 cup equivalent.
And it's sad. It's really sad because that's where we were at in terms of music. That's what was popular this year.
And I think the motherfucker had like 7 writers on it.
Yeah. And
like,
which is crazy.
It's disgusting.
And here's the thing. I don't even hate on Cardi B. She's made some decent fucking music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There has been some good hip hop that came out in terms that she was either collaborative with or she wrote. And I'm not even hating on it. Yeah. That song in particular, though, I don't even care who fucking made it. You know what I mean? Danzig could have made that song. And I'd be like, fuck. Like, you know what I mean?
I think, like, as a collective, me and you, we listen to some pretty vile shit sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, vile, disgusting, like, nasty shit.
Well, I don't want it to chart.
This is worse.
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
I don't think Fucked with a Knife by Cannibal Corpse should ever have made it to the Billboard.
Priest of Sodom.
Yeah, no.
Like...
I don't think a Dying Fetus song should ever make it.
No.
You know, there's a lot of fucked up stuff out
Crusher by Infinite Annihilator.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
come on.
But
like,
the fact that this made it, the fact that the acronym itself, what it stands for, the lyrical content surrounding it, the people that listen to it, and the people that were exposed to it, this sets you up. Like, nobody will think about this until it's 20, 30 years down the line, and these individuals have to run our country. And we're the old ones relying on, you know, hopefully our governments being sustainable. But we have kids that are not only in online schooling and getting the IQs dropping by 20, 30 points, but then they're like, you know,
Certified
what do you listen
freak
to?
7 days a week.
I'm a big fan of Van Halen 1. You know, Led Zeppelin 2 was great. That's where we were at. Now it's like WAP is gonna be on 102.9 at some point, like that type of song.
I don't understand it. I mean, is it the point that we're like, we've talked about this before, but like devolving as a society?
Oh yeah, because guess what? We talk about like
disgusting.
You ever seen the South Park episode where Stan's getting older and they're pretty much calling him a cynist, where he's just cynical because everything sounds like shit to him, and the whole thing with Stan's dad trying to like act like he likes it because we're not old, like.
They call him Steamy Ray Vaughan. Didn't he die in a plane crash? No, that's Stevie Ray Vaughan.
He just gets up there and shits his britches. But that's the thing.
It's like a britches holocaust.
We're not. Oh, dude. I got to show you. Remind me to show you the behind the scenes of that scene when they're trying to record that scene. They're like, they can't even keep it together.
He just fills one pair up, takes them off.
You got to see it, dude. I got to show you it. But anyway, like, we're not even like that to that point. And I know it because there's a lot of shit that came out this year in terms of hip hop, and especially stuff my father thinks is still garbage. Like my dad couldn't get his head around Metallica. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's always been like that. I have a way more open mind in the sense that real hip hop, even just real rap, it doesn't even have to be so tasteful. It can just be catchy enough where I'll enjoy it. But that song was
like, don't get me wrong, dude. I like the fucking beat and shit. Like I listen to the instrumental.
But the lyrical content ruins
it. Get some hoes in this house. Get some hoes.
It just ruins it.
Yeah, it's fucking disgusting.
Very sad.
But I guess on top of that, we can wrap this year up in a nice, pretty bow and put it in a bag or in a box, and we'll ship it on the submarine. We'll put in the ghost trap. Put in the ghost trap, and we'll send it on the submarine on its way to the motherland. Yeah, that's what we'll do with this year.
We essentially just said we were bombing Russia with all the bad shit that happened.
Well, we have a correspondent or
comrade.
Comrade on his way over there. Yeah, so he can drop it off for us.
That's a long submarine ride. He's still going.
Dude, it's 2020.
Oh, yeah.
It's
like the mail.
Yeah.
I think I got a fucking Easter card the other day.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if, like the Loch Ness Monster fucking surfaced or, the actual Megalodon or something fucking surfaced in the ocean. It was like, oh, yeah, by the way, dinosaurs are still real.
Yeah.
They haven't gone away. They just evolved.
Yeah.
They live underwater now. But, I guess let's roll into our personal suggestions for this week. My suggestion for this week is to check out the new single from the band Camino, Roses.
Not the song that's with All Time Low?
No, not the one that's with All Time.
Okay.
It's called Roses, came out a couple weeks back. Pretty good song. It's, the band Camino's got some big things happening for them, man. If 2020 didn't happen, they would have been on the verge of being, in my opinion, a band to like the size of like probably like Maroon 5 or something. Like these guys would have been on the Super Bowl this year if 2020 didn't happen.
Oh, yeah.
What do you got?
So an artist that we did not mention, and I purposely didn't mention him because it was going to be my recommendation. Daniel Dumile, probably best known as MF Doom. Very good hip hop artist. I mean, this guy, early 2000s, like the work he was putting out was just very clever. The beats are like I can't even explain it. If you haven't listened to MF Doom, I highly recommend it. In doing so, I'm actually going to go to one of his compilation albums that he mashed up with Mad Villain, Mad Lib, and himself. The album came out in 2004. It was called Mad Villainy. The song, I'm just going to recommend track 2, which is Accordion. I suggest you listen to the whole album. If you can enjoy that album, definitely go back and listen to MF Doom's personal stuff. But this album, man, it's funny. I used to listen to MF Doom back when I started getting into like Aesop Rock because he was just a very clever lyricist. And I didn't even know he died. He died in October. And someone had posted about it randomly, and I thought he had died because it was posted on December 31st. I thought he had died that day. I'm like, wow, it's crazy. And people were in the comments like, no, he died a few months back. And to this day, you still don't know the cause of death. But yeah, definitely check out Mad Villainy. It's actually under a Mad Villain album, but it's a pair up with him, Mad Lib, and MF Doom. It's
nice.
Accordion.
Our group suggestion for this week is to check out the live unplugged concert, Alice in Chains Unplugged.
The live unplugged concert, Alice in Chains unplugged.
Yeah.
Okay. That works. Yeah,
It's a mouthful.
Yeah,
It rolls off the tongue.
It does.
No, but we all know my opinion on this. I think it's the best live album ever and the best fucking unplugged album ever. That's my general feeling.
It's very good.
Now, if you can't find it on DVD, you can find it on YouTube. That's where I watch it most of the time.
Now, are you still watching it with the weird, like, do they have the full video in one shot?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because I used to have to watch that one particular in clips, but the screen was like inverted or almost looked like it so they can get away copyright.
No, the whole thing's on
So they
there
do have a
in
full
regular view.
All right.
Then I remember one time I watched it, not this particular version, but I watched it and it was like flipped.
Yeah,
it was
like
backwards.
inverted. That's how they get around. Yeah.
But yeah, so Alice in Chains Unplugged.
Maybe if we slowed down 5 minutes alone by like, a few measures, maybe we would have avoided all the hardships we faced on our YouTube channel.
But yeah, if you're a fan of Alice in Chains, then you'll obviously be a fan of this. If you're
100%.
unplugged, if you're a fan of Unplugged concerts, you'll be a fan of this.
If you're a fan of music.
Yeah. Pretty much if you don't like this, you're just an asshole.
Yeah.
Like you can't not like.
Yeah, you can't be pigeonholed to a genre. Like you can.
It's just good.
It's just a phenomenal live set.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
But yes, I guess that kind of wraps it up for this week.
Wraps it up for this year.
No, it's 2021 now. We didn't get to do
Talking
it
about
last
2020.
one. Oh,
We're
yeah.
done with 2020.
This comes out in 2021.
Yeah, that's what I'm
but-
saying. This, even though this being a 2021 episode, this is our last time talking about shit that happened last year.
Yeah, we're done with it.
Yeah.
Unless we're making fun of something, I guess.
Yeah, let's try to avoid it.
Yeah,
that's
we're
the
gonna
New
try to
Year's
avoid
resolution. Fresh start here at RATMP.
2020 never happened.
And don't forget to check out that dude's channel and
Redskins 91.
Yeah, for your
That metal
opportunity to post.
Remember our promo code RATM podcast.
Yeah.
But you can find us on our social medias, facebook.com/RATM podcast, Instagram and Twitter at RATM podcast, our website, ratmpodcast.wixsite.com/RATM podcast. Believe that's about it.
All right.
Our Pornhub page is still under construction. Our, WordPress page and Tumblr and all those other ones, they're on their way.
Yeah.
Our subreddit page is currently under construction as well. But so that about wraps it up for this week. This Rage Against the Mainstream podcast signing off. I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
Have a good night, guys. Thanks for listening.